What's up everybody, it's Seabass, aka Clayton Ashcraft, the born name given to me. Andrew's the middle name. I was born in San Diego, California, circa 1983, 420, but I don't roll that way. I was raised in a town called Escondido. San Diego still plays a big part in my life because most of my family still lives back there. Being raised in San Diego is a lot different than being raised in Southern California. Only because the lifestyle that you live, everybody's so chill and cool. Whereas like, if you come from like LA or Orange County, there's already kind of this personality that you give. Like LA is all like, LA, oh my gosh. Orange County is just trying to be LA. But I'm so thankful that I was blessed to live and grow up there. San Diego is very important to the foundation of who I am, and just the friends that I made, the family that raised me, and I always go back to it just because it takes me back to square one. Being raised in California, I felt like I was always surrounded. Because I was the youngest in my family, I was always surrounded with dance, and I grew up in the golden age of music. Maybe people think the golden age of music is like rock and roll, but I really feel like the influence I had of my mother always listening to Motown, or even listening to like older country. Paula Abdul, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, watching Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think a lot of people go back to that. Even this day, even little kids. I remember watching Bobby Brown, Every Little Step I Take, and always wanting to like have these like really big block letters of my name, or have my name like in my hair. I grew up with a lot of those things. I grew up with Tribe Called Quest, Scenario, that was always a big song, Too Legit to Quit. But I remember the first time I ever performed was my dad's wedding to his third wife. I was like 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. I had like this bow tie and these suspenders and this tux, and I had like little Newsies cap. They were playing Michael Jackson, and I was just getting down. Like, I just didn't care. I think it was bad, the song bad. I just remember like feeling free. I remember like feeling so happy, and it was such an incredible feeling to just like dance in front of. I'm like 5 years old. Usually kids are like so shy sometimes, but sometimes if you don't push kids, they just do it. I also grew up loving sports a lot. My brother would always take me to go see different sporting events, and so in my life I wanted to be a sports player, but eventually I grew into wanting to be a sports broadcaster. I wanted to be on SportsCenter and Stuart Scott, all those guys that were like making cool jokes and like flowing. I always wanted to be that person because I was always the smallest kid on the basketball team, or soccer team, or baseball. But I always just had a passion for dance, even just performing. There were elements of like the hip hop culture in my life, but being Mormon, being LDS, you don't really put those two together. Only because there's certain elements that the media portrays. I always felt like I found like the positive parts, not just in music and dance, but in people. I guess at finally a certain age after high school, and a little bit during high school, I kind of realized I was that person who kind of like was cool with everybody, but I really didn't gain the confidence to understand that until college. So like high school, I was dancing to a lot of boy bands and stuff, and doing lip sync competitions, because in San Diego, lip sync competitions, even to this day, are huge. Like radio stations promote them, like it's like school against school. And I remember like certain friends of mine that had asked me to like help them be a part of like these boy band and girl band. Like we like kind of came together like the NSYNC and Britney Spears 1999 VMA. You know, it helped introduce me and introduce me into like dance. I had been dancing at church dances, but and I would practice at home and sometimes with friends, and I saw people at school that were like b-boying. You know, obviously then I knew it was like breakdancing, another media term. I remember like still that b-boy that was like dope. He was like this Mexican dude, and he was just always ripping it. Like just doing flares and windmills and like head spins. Like he was just the dude. I joined dance in hopes to like senior year in hopes to kind of refuel the fire inside of me. It just, nobody was really pushing hip hop then either. It was more just kind of like, all right, do your own thing, like pop, jazz. For me, that just wasn't my area. Unfortunately, during those times, I gave up. Like, to be honest with you, I gave up a lot. I was on the JV team for basketball. I only played 5 minutes for like, out of maybe like 8 games, and I quit. I just gave up on things. I always gave up on things. Sometimes I even would do things that would like almost would pretty much get me injured just because I didn't have that confidence. I was always bullied because of my height and how small I was, but luckily I set out. Like I said, I was able to meet friends, and I still was just doing like boy band stuff. And one of my church friends, he had just come back from his mission for our church, and he said, I'm trying to put together this like lip sync thing, like a boy band for a church town show. Whoever wins, they go on to the next, what's called wards. So there's like different wards in different regions of our city, and then we would like compete against each other, all in fun, just to kind of bring together people to have a good time. My friend David Romney and Lance Thorson, they got me like into that, and so it fueled me to start choreographing myself and to really start getting more into dance. But it was something that my mom always kind of thought was just kind of like, oh, it's fun, he'll grow out of it. She's very conservative, so like some of the music choices that I had, I always try to keep my music clean no matter what. Even when I was in high school, I don't like vulgar language at all. I just don't think there's any place for it. And definitely some of the messages, I try not to like be behind them. Some of the lyrics are so dope and they flow so good, but they're just not. And I don't think that's hip hop at all. So for me, I feel like that's always been an influence for me and something that I feel like I have to spread the message with. So as far as like religion and all that, everybody thinks like Mormons is like Footloose and stuff, even though that movie was kind of based on Mormons and stuff, but it's like a preconceived conception that like, oh, Mormons, they don't dance, like they just have multiple wives, which is not true. We don't have multiple wives. It's tough even just to deal with one woman. What I'm trying to get at is that there's a ton of talent, no matter what religion you are, and I think hip hop is the closest to a religion in terms of the love that's shared within it. So, you know, that's something that I slowly started to discover after high school. I've always been inspired by my mother being number one, well, God being number one, because He's given me the breath and the body and the opportunity to have been born in a situation like San Diego. And I believe we definitely knew before this life where we'd be born, and we knew the struggles. But the fact that we would have these struggles to grow, to return back to God, is why we go through what we go through, the people that we meet. So I believe we're definitely all connected. Continuing on, I had gone on my mission for my church. We usually serve 2-year missions, but I was only out about 3 or 4 months, and I had been called to the East Coast. So I went from San Diego, where I'd never left home, maybe for like a couple months, up to Utah to live with friends. But I was basically taken out of my environment. It was obviously voluntary and it was difficult. So I ended up only being there a few months, and with a lot of the issues that I've had with depression and giving up and just things in my life that have happened, I had, you know, come home, and it was difficult for me because I wanted to serve my mission. I wanted to do those things which I felt would be a great sacrifice, and I just wasn't ready. I really wasn't ready. There was a certain part in my life, and I'm totally fine with talking about it, but I was suicidal because the devil at the time had got a hold of me and said, no, you should be selfish about yourself, you should do this. I remember being admitted to a halfway house in downtown San Diego, and I realized I have 10 million thousand more reasons to live and to be grateful for living compared to the people that I saw and the situations that they were in. I'm not saying that as being egotistical or anything, but it made me also realize how much I had to do to I didn't go back on my mission, but I chose to go to school. So I got accepted to BYU, Idaho, which is in Rexburg, Idaho. It's like an hour west of Yellowstone. Coming from San Diego, going up to Idaho, it was just a new experience. It was like new life, new experience, going up, excited for school, excited to meet new people and just have new experiences and go to school. And I had a lot of, like, my best friend, Danny Carpenter, he's always been a great influence. Like, since we were 4 years old, like, 2 little kids, like, running naked in the sprinklers. Like, he'd always kind of told me that I would be perfect to go to school up there. And so he had been on his mission, and I got accepted to school up there. And so he's always kind of kept me, like, good, you know, like, especially with some of the friends that I had in high school. He always kind of kept me level and grounded. And so he influenced me to go to school up there. And what Idaho did for me, just to, long story short, was it showed me how much some people just don't understand hip hop. And it also showed me that it doesn't matter where you are. You could be on the streets of New York, or you could be in the farm fields of Idaho, and you can be hip hop. Idaho is where I learned about hip hop. I made friends instantly who were MCs, graffiti artists, b-boys, lockers, poppers, DJs, like, and I really believe to this day, like, there's so many people that I want to take up there. I want to take, like, Crazy Legs up there. I want to take Mr. Wiggles. There's so many people that I want to take up there. And I'm doing that this weekend. It's our 10-year anniversary of the battle that we've thrown, that I started with my friend Jacob in 2005. This is a 10-year anniversary, and I get to take up a couple homies from Vegas. I met all these different people, and it influenced me to go from, like, wanting to be a sports broadcaster, but then kind of seeing, like, oh wow, nobody's doing this in the dance world. Oh, nobody's doing this up here. Oh my gosh, there's these battles that are happening in France. There's these battles that are happening all over the world. To, man, we should do our own event. To, I'm gonna take out loan money, school loan money, and just throw that money into, you know, throwing a battle, inviting people out from the Mountain West or from California, researching different b-boys like Jeromski. Shout out to homeboy Jeromski, Massive Monkeys. He was one of the first people that I brought up to Idaho that was, like, in hip hop. This is like a guy that was in the middle of, like, the early 2000s, which was really influential to today. The opportunity to bring him out there because he had a best friend that was going to school there. So it's like, what? So there was just all these people that influenced us and influenced me to just go for it. And we did it. We were flyering cars around campus in the middle of a snowstorm at like 2 in the morning. In apartments, flyering cars, like, freezing. We have this thing in the Mormon church called Family Home Meeting, and it's basically something the church encourages all families to have every Monday night or just once a week. Just sit with each other, talk to each other, you know, read scriptures or find something wholesome. Like, just come together as a family, because life gets busy. And so we started a thing called B-Boy Æffect, and it was at our school, and it was basically a club. Every Monday night after FHE, after we had our own FHE, we would go to the dance studio and just dance for 2 hours. And so we started telling people, it's still going to this day, since 2004. One side, we would have somebody instructing people, helping them. The other side was just open session, dance, you know, practice and just have fun. And so that led to events. We had some semesters where we were a club and other semesters where we weren't a club. And it got so bad because people never came and experienced it. They just were outside the door. They came in and they accidentally heard the A word once, which we accidentally played, and we made sure that that never happened again. But of course, that timing, people would shut us down. So for me, I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna go into the community. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna go connect with City Hall. I'm gonna go connect with City Council, Chamber of Commerce, all these different people, and just create it myself. And so I did. It was my own money, and I had to pay people out of my pocket. I lost a lot of money. If we look at all of our events that we've ever done, that I've ever done, I don't think we're even in the positive. We don't think we're even close yet. but those events led me eventually to Step by Step. And it was those struggles of just being a student and like going to school and not having a lot. It's those times that you really have the opportunity to think beyond, because you're struggling. And that's what Idaho taught me. That's what my religion's taught me. My faith. Being in Las Vegas, living off an unemployment check, and coming up with the idea of Step by Step taught me. It's taken me around the world. There was a moment, 2005, I remember, we would go to the library and we would look up this website called stepxstepdance. It was a French website, and every week, every few days, they would upload some new videos, and we would always go back. Like, this is when it starts of Red Bull BC1, all these different things, and we were literally like crowd around and just sit there for like 2 hours. Be like, oh. People would be so mad at us because we'd be like cheering, you know, because we're like, oh, now we gotta go practice. Like, I ordered my first DVD of a jam, and it was Juste Debout 2005. Shout out to Bruce Akanji, who is the original organizer of that event. Even Uval, there was another website called 1000 for 100. I'm saying that very American. That was another website that we watched. Anyways, I ordered the Juste Debout, and I remember when it came, we just watched that. Like, we watched that all the time. We had watched other VHS, like Freestyle Session, shout out to Cross One. So we were watching these things and having dance parties, and like there was a local club that my friend DJ Cam was DJing at. We'd go to like foam parties, but we wouldn't be in the foam, we'd be outside the foam because we didn't want to be in the foam. There was just like nasty STDs and stuff. But for real though, I remember one moment and I told myself, I'm gonna go to Juste Debout one day. I might compete. It was to compete, but it was also just to go. I'm gonna go to France. And 2013, that was the year that I got to go. My business partner, Josh Mack, he sent me out there. He believed in me and he said, I'm gonna pay for your plane ticket and whatever else you need. And I went to Juste Debout. I was bawling because it wasn't like, it was a big moment for me, but I felt like all those years and all those struggles, I was carrying all my friends with me on my back. Like, yo, we're here. Like that Rocky moment. God just blessed me with the vision for Step by Step. Step by Step was created in 2011. A lot of these jams that we threw in Idaho, the first jam was called Urban Vibe 2K5. It was in 2000, and it was just kind of like basing off like a and one street ball idea type thing. And so in 2006, I had a friend that had invited us over. She was dancer slash like singer and kind of like pitch perfect kind of thing. She's just awesome, Shelly. She'd invited me and my best friend Tyson over to her house one time. She said, we do this thing called like Battle Wednesday or whatever, Dance Battle Wednesday. Basically, she puts on like random songs. She's like, okay, this one is interpretive. You have to be interpretive. Or this one's like, you have to battle like a person at the same time. This one, we have props. So me and my friend just battled each other. And we did like interpretive dance to like this Prince song. And it was, so I told her, I said, I really like this idea. I'd like to like try to do something with the events that I throw. Because she had been in my first event. She was also a Southern California girl as well. So, you know, we were cool like that. She's like, yeah, use it, I don't care. It's just something we do for fun. My first event, I threw it in an apartment lounge. And there was like 35 people. And I did the same thing. I put like one of our friends named Bernie. He was like this Asian guy. He didn't even start off as a dancer. He was just this Asian kid. I was like, dude, I want to put you against my friend Bianca. Shout out to Bianca. I put them together and it was so fun. So I'm like, all right, next week we're gonna do it. Announced it, went around and told people, 75 people. And so then what we started to do was like, hey, if we got anybody that wants to call each other out in the crowd, call them out. If your roommate didn't clean the dishes, call them out. Battle them, dance battle them. It went from 35 to 75 to 150. And then our next week, the fourth week, we had 350 people in an apartment lounge. And it was popping off. Like, we had a DJ now. Like, we had a DJ up in the joint. So we got kicked out of that lounge. They have like these things called summer sales. And they had a huge building. So we threw it in there, 500 people. So then we moved it to the movie theater. And every week we called it Dance Battle Wednesday. Every week it was like 700, 800 people in this spot at the movie theater. We always had a dance party afterwards, no matter what. But that really stemmed an idea eventually for Step by Step, because it was including everybody, and it showed me that everybody, no matter who you were, wanted to have a good time and had a voice. If you think it's difficult to throw an event in Las Vegas, Nevada, or LA with hip hop, try doing it in 99% conservative town of 10,000. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Like, for real though. We try to include the community because that's where hip hop started, in the community. If you don't go out and involve your community, then it won't grow. Those opportunities to be successful, both in helping other people and also helping put food on the table for yourself, for your future family, then you're always just gonna be staying in the same position. So that's why it's important to understand OG stories and to respect them, because there's so much to learn. The struggles that I've been through have put me here, and it's my duty now to share that and to help other people. And that's where Step by Step started in 2011. After college, I still threw some events up in Idaho. I still always gave back, but I ended up moving. Crazy life experiences and things that were just selfish, but it led me to move to Arizona to see the light. And there's a part of my life that I speak openly about. Unfortunately, I was laid off from a job which I had just purchased a new car in the summer, thinking that I was secure. About 5 days before that, my grandma passed away. My grandma was a big part of my life, and raising me with my mother, a single mother raising 5 kids, and my grandma, you know, when my mom was working 3 jobs, was the one there picking me up and taking me back to work where she was working. She was always happy, always positive, just like my mom. And I guess that's probably where I get my strength from. It's from them and what they taught me. Losing my grandma was the first person in my life I had ever lost that was like really difficult. It was her time to go. She was old. It wasn't anything bad. It was just her time to go. A few days later, without knowing, I lost my job. And I had also been told earlier, a few months before, that my roommate was gonna get married, so I had to move. So there was a lot in between there that really changed my life. That didn't really hit me until about March, April, when I just sank to probably one of my lowest days of my life. Like, just dark. I had an idea before that to audition again for So You Think You Dance. I auditioned in 2007 and was told that I'm not that good of a street dancer. Thank you, Mary Murphy. Was gonna audition again for So You Think You Can Dance, but I wanted to do it differently this time. There's a thing called Dizzy Feet Foundation on the show, which Nigel started, and it's to help underprivileged kids with the opportunity to take dance classes. What I wanted to do was raise $1,000 and go on the show and audition, but also donate to the foundation on the show. Nothing anybody had ever thought of, because that's just me. I'm been given the opportunity to audition, so I should give the opportunity to somebody else. Tenfold, thousandfold, whatever it is. Unfortunately, at the time, I wasn't able to raise that money, and I had started a blog. What I was gonna do was, I was gonna travel from Arizona to Atlanta, and I was gonna stop off at different dance studios and interview different dancers about the real dance, like why people dance and what the real story of America was in terms of dance, because I just didn't feel like people's voices were being heard. There's a lot of these great shows, but it's like we all just kind of suck to it. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But I can never do that. It's like, that shouldn't be the case. That didn't work out, and so I ended up being promised by a lady running an organization that she would cover my housing, pay me, all this stuff. So I moved to Vegas in hopes to do that. It didn't work out. So I was living on unemployment, trying to pay a car, trying to pay my rent, trying to eat, like just trying to find something. And I literally had nothing, and my mom was doing her best to help me when she was working full-time too. And I was just like, researching ideas, and I saw this thing about Hip Hop International. And it was like down the street from where I lived in Vegas, like literally 5 minutes. And I'm like, I should start like blogging about this. That's when like blogging was starting to get a little bit more well known, and I'm gonna start my own blog. And I had already started a blog step by step. I just started looking at the crews that were on there. I started connecting with the people. Jess Bedolla, like Jess is a big part of Step by Step because he's the one that gave me the opportunity to like be media at Hip Hop International when I had the least greatest camera. It was just something I had. But I was interviewing people and I just did it. And I started researching the people, and I started doing blogging more. I started like doing vlogging like we're doing now, and it was terrible. It was so terrible, but I did it. That was the thing. And so then I started connecting with people, and I just started networking, and I had discovered Les Twins, and I was like, yo, these guys are so dope. I seen them on Just Stay Blue. Like, I would love to interview them. I got connected with their manager. I remember the moment we got the interview for Les Twins, and I couldn't even be there. I wasn't even there for the Laurent interview. I was in Utah. Definitely that interview that Jacob, who was there with me from the start, who helped organize the 2005 battle in Idaho. He was living in Vegas at the time, and he's amazing with camera work. So he was able to go there and do that whole interview with Laurent. Honestly, that has pushed us to so many different ways. Like, you know, that brought along my business partner, Josh, to realize that dance is something that people want to see. And now that's put us into SXS Media, which is a company that we do video editing, music recording, all different kinds of stuff. Marketing, websites, basically anything that an artist needs, a dancer needs, comedian, businesses, clothing companies, whatever it is. And now we've, you know, just this year, that's networked us into our own music group called 1220 Music Group, which has Makiba, who's written Deja Vu for Beyonce, who's written Rude Boy for Rihanna, Love the Way You Lie. Like, these are all people that God has blessed us to work with. Jade from New York, I mean, he runs New York with the production he's done. Like, he knows everybody. They're all humble people, no matter what. Like, everybody's humble in Step by Step, and if they're not, eventually they're gone. It's not about the money. It's never about the money. The money is coming, and it's there. Even if we were to have a huge mansion, that doesn't define who we are. What defines who we are is that I'm always gonna be editing videos. I'm always gonna be interviewing people. I'm always gonna be going back to Idaho. That's what defines success to me. Because if I can take one of those kids in Idaho, whether he or she has dreams of going to Seoul, Korea to dance, that's my duty to give back. And if we have that mansion, we're gonna have parties, and we're gonna bring people over and have a good time. We're gonna give other people opportunities. That's what Step by Step is about. It's not being about, hey, everybody check out Step by Step. This is what we're doing. We're so dope. It's about